And here we are, and you are, of course, are off center in your frame on the stream because I'm an idiot and everything just is going wrong today. So I'm gonna fix that while we're live. While I'm doing that, how have you been this week? I know we started talking about the episode like yesterday or Wednesday, but what else has been going on? Like I've seen you posting about reading one of the new Power Rangers comics.
Comics next week and for the next 3 weeks because it's going to be like releases every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So it's pretty crazy.
Of course, our audio is messed up. I'm guessing that
Sure.
again was probably Eric. It looks like everything should be good now. So let us know if you've caught up and you're caught up. Really quick recap: Eric has been reviewing a bunch of comics for Ranger Command Power Hour. Go check out his
Yeah.
stuff. Find him on Twitter. I know it's all posted there. And I'm
Yep.
still living out of a hotel room, which is why I've got this weird background behind me.
I just got this because I wanted to represent Discovery and the colony that they landed
Oh
on.
yeah, I'm gonna pull up. Let's see. Let me get the slideshow going here now. Uh, this episode. I guess we might as well just like get right into it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode. I don't know if I
Hmm.
liked it better than the season premiere, but it was really it was fun.
A lot of fun. And I don't know about you, but I got some crazy, like almost Wild West cowboy vibes from this. Like the alien saloon, the guy's boots going clink clink when he was
Yeah.
entering the place, the swinging doors. So it almost felt like a western in some respects.
Here. Uh,
Sure. I
God.
know, man. It's one of those weeks. That's why, like I always say, when there's new Star Trek, that is the favorite part of my week.
Yeah, absolutely. Like today almost feels like Monday to me. It started off in the
Right.
morning with me getting a bunch of emails from the office about them needing something immediately, and of course they're 90 miles away from where I'm at here. So it's like, okay, well,
Oh,
how do we get
geez.
these things? So that was just a mess. But the mess that the Discovery is in seems to be a little bit more dire than mine.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
You talk about you having a bad day. They're having a really bad day.
so it picks up pretty much right after the finale when as they went
Yeah.
through. So the first episode this season was uh, Michael Burnham's experience after she came through, and now we're on the Discovery and what happened to them as soon as they came through. So they crash
Hmm.
land on this ice planet, which again you have behind you there. Uh, did this remind you of anything else that we've seen in Trek before?
Um, as far as like the planet itself, not so much, but Discovery crashing on an ice planet definitely felt like the episode of Voyager called Timeless when Voyager crashes on an ice planet. And very similar like visual style and visual effects for that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's funny because last week we were talking about how um, this this season seems like it might be taking a little bit of inspiration from Andromeda, and
Yeah.
so I started watching Andromeda like that night. Friday night, I was like, okay, I just kind of need to zone out for a little bit. I'm gonna turn on Andromeda and see because I remembered that the show existed, um,
Right.
but I didn't remember any of the actual storylines from it or really like what it was about. So I started
Yeah,
watching it.
I wasn't like a regular viewer of that. Like you, I knew it existed, but I didn't follow it or anything like that. But I think I knew like the broad strokes of what happened.
Yeah. So more or less, there's this the Commonwealth, which is the equivalent of the Federation. Kevin Sorbo's character is Dylan Hunt, and he is a captain of the Andromeda, which is one of the ships in the fleet. Might as well be their version of the Enterprise. And he gets stuck in the event horizon of a black hole for 300 years. Comes back out.
Mm-hmm.
The Commonwealth has collapsed, and he takes it upon himself to try and rebuild it because the galaxy is now in the state of what they call this eternal darkness. So he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to bring the light back and make everything all better again. The episode that I watched either last night or 2 nights ago or whenever it was that I last watched it was very similar in themes to some of the stuff in this episode. Uh, what the character came back, decided that he needed to use a couple of the crew members to pull off this heist, and
Yeah.
what was going on with them on the ship. It was really loose though. Just some of the character moments were the same, but the plot was a little bit different. So it was kind of interesting
Oh,
because
okay.
after watching this episode, I was like, huh, not the same thing, but very similar stuff.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
But yeah, the I really dug the Western feel of this episode because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things that Star Trek had done really well in the past with Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and Voyager was there would be specific episodes that would have very specific tones and feels to them.
Right.
And I feel like the first two seasons of Discovery, while I really enjoyed them, they were kind of missing that. We didn't have the one-off holodeck episodes with them playing Captain Proton or Dixon Hill
Right.
or Sherlock Holmes. And this episode, while it wasn't the holodeck type stuff, it kind of felt very much like that to me.
Yeah, it definitely felt like that what Star Trek is all about, which is exploration. And that's what I'd like finding out in this particular season of Discovery, is because this is new territory for all of us as Trekkies, as fans of the show and fans who pay attention to the timeline. We don't know these locations. We don't even know what quadrant of the galaxy that they're in. That's how like not specific it is. So to see, this planet with this weird gravitational, anomaly going on with it where half the planet is floating in space.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's something that we really haven't seen on this level before.
Yeah, speaking about the things floating, that was something, and that I noticed when they showed all that stuff. It reminded me of two things. First was Avatar with like the mountains
Yep.
and everything that were kind of floating there, and The Martian. On the planet where they met Matt Damon, they had those giant like
Yes.
ice clouds that were floating there. Obviously, this episode was nothing like either of those things, but
Right.
just visually, I like being able to see where the inspiration that they took these things came from. Like it's very cool to be able to say, "Oh, I've seen this before and I know where it's from." A lot of people might be like, "Oh, well, that's kind of generic," and but at the same time, I'm like, no, like it's paying homage.
It's new for Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. So what can you tell me about the coordinates?
Cordonites.
Coridonites?
Cordonites.
Because
Cordonites.
we've seen them before. I know we saw them both in Next Generation and in Enterprise. And
Actually, the original
oh,
series.
did we?
Yeah. So in the original series, the Cordonites were mentioned because they produced, or they had a planet rich in dilithium, which at first I thought this planet was Cordon,
Okay.
because if their planet, or if their worlds are so rich in dilithium, we know that the burn completely blew up dilithium. And if dilithium is mined, if the burn happened with all that dilithium still inside the planet, I think a whole chunk of this planet blew up because all the
Oh,
dilithium blew up because of the burn.
that's a really good point. I see. I again with the original series, I know it. I remember episodes, but I don't
Right.
remember a lot of specifics from it because
But
it's been quite a while.
I don't I don't believe they were actually shown in the original series. They were just named a few times.
Right.
But in Enterprise was when we saw them, because yeah, they were also heavily involved in one of the early episodes of Enterprise and towards the end as well. So
Right.
yeah,
So
and I love the makeup job, that because they took what was in Enterprise and updated it, and I think this is the newest Star Trek iteration. I think this is their best recreation of updating a makeup,
so on the screen
because it's
now,
subtle.
you
Hmm.
might be able to see it in the it might be caught up with where we are on the actual YouTube now. This I believe is a
Yeah,
screen cap from the Enterprise episode. So this is what they
Enterprise.
look like there. But then there was also this guy here. We'll give it a second for this to pop up in.
Sure.
When I was looking up the coordinates online, this also came up as one of them, and I'm not sure if this was because this was from TNG.
I uh I'll have to see it when it pops up on the stream.
I'll leave that one static there. So this is a completely different look for them though. Like this is a
Is it the one where it's kind of like the
yeah, he has like a
metal
mask on.
face?
Yeah.
That No, that's Enterprise. That was
Oh, this
also
was
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
That
Okay.
wasn't TNG.
I
Yeah.
don't know why they told me
Yeah,
it
it
was
was a
TNG.
later episode. Yeah, it was a later episode of Enterprise, and for some reason it was a completely different look. So I actually like that Discovery used the original look that Enterprise came up with. Um, and who knows? This could be like a subspecies in the same system.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah,
It could
because
be like a different cast.
yeah,
Whatever.
there's one of the things that I think we've learned with Star Trek is that what we think we know about all these races isn't necessarily what we know about all these different races. Is that
Right.
obviously we've got different looks for Klingons now, but then in like Star Trek Nemesis, we got the Remans, who were an offshoot
Yep.
of the Romulans, and they didn't look anything like what we'd seen before. Star Trek Five, we got Spock's brother, which we had never heard about before.
Yeah.
So like I'm totally cool with this kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me
Yeah.
at all because I figure either we'll get an explanation or I'll just make something up in my head that works.
Exactly. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah. So kind of moving through this episode a little bit. When the ship crashes on this planet, and we can kind of see the ice starting to overtake the ship, and we
Yeah.
learn from Zare, I think was his name, that the
Yeah.
ice is parasitic. Which
Hmm.
that's actually something that I recognize from a Sci-Fi Channel show called Eureka. I think it was in like one of the last couple of
Oh,
seasons. There was an episode where they had taken an ice core from Antarctica, and the ice just started kind of growing by itself and infecting people and making them
right.
do kind of weird stuff. But I thought that was an interesting concept because, like, again, we don't know whether it's actually ice. We don't know if it's like some sort of sentient creature or whether it's like a Venus flytrap type being where it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like sucks everything in. So this was a really cool, uh, not villain but obstacle. I think that was put in their way.
Right. And I like when Star Trek does that. I like when it's a problem that they have to solve versus generic villain of the week.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest complaint of, some of the JJ Kelvin movies was that it was always some guy trying to destroy Earth.
Right.
But I like it when it's these small problems that are dire, that I mean their whole ship could have been crushed, but they have to work through it, and you build the tension in the dramatic tension of what's happening to the ship versus, oh, it's just some guy trying to blow us up again.
Right. A couple of the other problems that they had to face here. I'm actually going to back up here with the images a little bit. Let me see, where was it? So Detmer, when they crashed, she hit her
Yes.
head, and I can't remember the name of the other person that was at the helm with her. Um,
I have a problems with her name, but I think it's Owoshu.
yes, something
Yeah,
something like that.
Lieutenant
Yeah.
Owoshu.
So,
Yeah.
and she kept asking her. She's like, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" Because it looked like she was injured in some way. And Detmer was like, "No, I'm fine." But eventually, she goes to sick bay, gets taken care of. But it looks like there's something still wrong with her, and I'm kind of interested to see
Yep.
how that plays out over the course of the season because she's got this implant. Arium had all kinds of cybernetic implants and augmentations, and she had been taken over by Control. So I'm wondering if like we're actually completely done with Control, or if something's going on with her.
Actually, it's probably a more simple explanation, because when I was watching this episode and all that stuff was going on with Detmer, I turned to my wife and I said, "Oh my God, she's suffering from PTSD," and
Yeah.
it's because the only reason she has that implant was because in the first season when the Shenzhou got blown up, and so it got blown up. She was at the helm. She couldn't do anything to help save the ship. And now you've got the same situation where she had to crash the Discovery. They're not okay. She hits her head, same implant. I'm thinking it's just reliving those traumatic experiences, and she's rattled, she's shaken, and like the disoriented voices, all that stuff, it just sounded like classic symptoms of PTSD.
I hope that's it. Because I'm Control, that felt like a good one season thing. I would hate to see that kind of like crossover and
Yeah.
just be like a recurring thing. But also that would be a solid foundation for building her character up more too, because like she's
Right.
one of the characters that we know her, but we don't necessarily know a whole lot about her yet.
Hmm. And I'm really glad that they're starting to do that with these characters. They started in season 2 building up some of these side characters for the bridge crew. And now it seems like they're going to be really fleshing that out. What I wanted to talk about was how great was Saru in this episode?
Oh, he was
Holy cow.
fantastic. Uh,
This was like his breakout episode, because it showed how much he's grown as a leader and how capable he is now. As soon as they landed or crashed, he's giving everyone orders, he's calming nerves, and the interaction that he had with Tilly, and also standing up to Giorgio, was absolutely fantastic. And Doug Jones nailed it for this performance.
yeah, absolutely. Like when they're walking to this mining town, and she's obviously rattled. She's talking and talking and talking, and Saru is just like, no, just keep talking. Is
Yeah.
it's not harming anything right now. Do what you need to do to cope with the situation. And I thought that
Exactly.
was that was mindful of him, uh, knowing
Hmm.
that she needed to get that out, but at the same time having situational awareness enough to know that what that where they were, it wasn't going to be a problem. Because old Saru uh, would have just been like,
Exactly.
"No, you gotta shut up. You gotta be quiet. There's probably someone watching us. Uh, look at that rock over there. Look at that rock over there. We're in trouble." Whereas this new Saru now he's really taking on that leadership role.
Absolutely. And I really hope he gets promoted to captain.
I mean, I don't know that he needs to get promoted to captain at this point. There's no one out there to promote him.
I mean, make it
Right,
official.
right,
Like,
right.
give him those 4 pips. He's captain. I hope there's a good scene where they all kind of like vote, or they're like, yeah, just be captain. We shouldn't even be calling you commander
Yeah.
anymore.
One of the other interactions that I really enjoyed in this episode was Stamets and Jet Reno.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Um
like last season,
okay.
I started to get the feeling that Tig Notaro was at first with Jet. I was like, is she just like reading the lines? Because like her deliveries and everything was
Okay.
just like so flat.
Okay. I have to tell you
Okay.
this. The official Star Trek podcast. It's like the Pod Directive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the one with Tawny Newsome. They dropped an episode on Monday where they interview Tig Notaro, and she says she like Alex Kurtzman and her were friends, and he absolutely wanted her on the show. She said she can not read any of this
Yeah.
technobabble. Like, so she's actually had to have a director like feed her the lines, and she said she's gone better, but um it's a fantastically funny interview. And I found out that she has uh this web series from Funny or Die called Under a Rock with Tig Notaro. She doesn't watch a lot of movies or TV.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know celebrities, and she'll have these celebrities like come on, and she has to guess who they are because she
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
them
I've
at
heard of that. I
all.
haven't seen it.
And
At I think
it's funny.
was it WonderCon? It was either WonderCon or San Diego Comic Con, right before season
Hmm.
two. I when I was still with that hashtag show, I got into the press line for Discovery and got to interview uh, most of the cast, and Tig Notaro was one of
Nice.
them. And I remember, I don't remember the specifics from that interview, but I remember her being very much like, "Yeah, I'm on Star Trek. I don't know what else to tell you, but I'm on the show." So, but yeah, it's interesting because for me, I'm like, okay, so that's who the character is. She's just this
Yeah.
very bland person, and I feel like everyone
Like
knows that person,
deadpan.
that they
Yeah.
just can't get, like, they can't get a beat on them. Like, they're just like, I don't I don't understand what you mean
I
here.
don't know what you're
Yeah,
about. Yeah.
and that in this episode that really played into her interaction with Stamets, where he was just, "No, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. Please go away. Please leave me alone. I don't need your help." And she was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna help you anyway."
No, it was a fantastic working relationship that they have. It's very much an odd couple
Yeah,
situation with them,
yeah.
for sure.
But also speaking about Stamets, I'm really happy that him and Culber are kind of getting back to normal again. Um,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
all for most of last season, it was with Colbert. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He was kind of lost with himself,
Hmm.
and now it seems like he's found himself again, and he has
Yeah.
direction, which is good, because like that's while I enjoyed that storyline with him. If it had kept going and pushing into this, I think it probably would have gotten tiresome eventually.
A little bit, and I'm hoping that they don't forget it completely. Like, maybe show us some, maybe lasting consequences of what he went through, or at least, let them have a couple more conversations about it. Just don't
Yeah.
like it magically goes away,
Yeah. I don't
It's
think it should
part of
just
him
like
now.
completely disappear. I just don't think it like every other episode needs to be them,
Oh yeah, right.
just having tips about whatever whatever weird thing Stamets does. Um, what else did we have this episode that was really good? Giorgio. Oh, that was another one. Giorgio
Oh,
and Linus. Just like that. It was a
okay.
super brief moment. Oh, okay.
Did my wife and I were like, "Oh my god, is she gonna do something like horrible to Linus?"
That's
Like, because she started talking about his eyes, and I'm like, "This woman from the mirror universe has no problem eating kelpians for dinner. Like, this is horrible." And I'm like, "I don't mess with Linus. Like, he actually has lines now, and he's
I
talking."
was so happy when they actually brought him in and had him start
Yeah.
actually saying things because last season all we saw out of him was him sneezing in someone's face, right?
Right, and he had a couple other moments towards the end of the that season, but yeah, I just hope that Giorgio like didn't kill him and shove him in a turbo shaft or something. Like,
Well, I mean, it's obvious that she wants to use him for something because she was
right.
really interested in the fact that he was able to see a very broad spectrum of light.
Mhm.
Um,
And I'm wondering if maybe he helped scout with her to see where Saru and Tilly were, so that she could help them out.
that's something that I was thinking. I'm also wondering if she knows something about alternative fuel sources to dilithium or something that maybe he would be able to see radiation or something. Like
Sure.
he's going to be helpful to her in some way. I'm just not quite sure what it is
Right.
yet.
Yeah, and that was like a little odd moment in the episode that I think they're gonna play off pretty soon.
Yeah,
I did like the line from Giorgio about, oh, Section 31, give me a couple months and I could have ran the place.
yeah.
Well, that's the whole premise of like supposedly the new show, the Section 31 series that they're making.
Which is I'm still like I'm so confused about where that show is going to go now since she's in the
Me
32nd
too.
century because now there is no Section 31 or well I guess is there a
And
Section 31? Like we don't.
unless she finds some way, some illegal time travel and goes back.
Yeah, I don't know because we know. So these are just like other random things. Like Laurel,
Sure.
I'm hoping she shows back up in the Strange New Worlds show, because otherwise she's just kind of done. Tyler, we know that he's running Section 31
Yep.
now, so it seems weird to me that they would do a Section 31 show with Giorgio and just completely leave him out of it now that they've promoted him to running the entire organization.
And he was such a great actor
Yeah.
too. Like, why leave that off the table?
Yeah, so there's so many questions that I have about the future of Star Trek, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, going back to this like saloon, I guess is the best name
Yes.
for what this was. Just the whole Western feel like when Zara walks in and the spurs are clinking and the shot was like tied up
Yep.
on his boots. Like it felt so much like that Western. Um,
And and then the tension where there's the shots of them all kind of like eyeing each other. That's so good, the
mhm.
bad, and the ugly. I mean,
Yeah,
that really is. That's such a callback.
that's what I'm excited for more of this season too. Like I just want to see
Hmm.
a wider breadth of content from them because like it's this.
Yeah, and yeah.
This. Oh,
Maybe
sorry, go ahead.
maybe the whole series is just every episode has a different feel to it. I would love that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this season really opens them up to that because it really is going to be
Mhm.
all about exploring this new future that nobody knows anything about.
I want to know what happened to Michael in the year that we haven't seen.
I'm I'm going to guess we're going to see some of that next week. Uh, at least some sort of
Because we've
flashbacks.
seen in the previews, like we've seen like that time lapse in one of the early
Yeah,
previews of like her waiting in the shuttle and her hair growing out and doing logs. So I do want to see what she's been up to. Um but yeah, this episode, like just the tension. I thought Tilly was great in this episode, absolutely fantastic. And the bad guy, what's his name?
Zara,
Yeah,
Zareh.
yeah, Zara. He was a real
Oh
asshole.
yeah,
It was great. It's just so refreshing to see someone who, you know, doesn't abide by Starfleet rules, but he's a human, and so he doesn't have those like Federation morals. He's just a gangster. He's a thug.
yeah, and I think one of the things that I really kind of liked about that, I know I've got a picture of him here somewhere, uh, was that he was like, on the one hand, he was like, listen, the Federation's gone, but on the other hand, it was also a very 2020 thing where he was like, we're all out here adrift together. So
Yep.
it was like a weird juxtaposition of different like thought
Mm-hmm.
processes that he was having. Um,
And it wasn't like he was like totally angry or maniacal either. He was just super calm throughout the whole thing,
yeah,
very matter of fact, like, hey, this is how it's going down, and if you don't like it, I don't care.
yeah. And then during that fight out, like when Giorgio comes in and they he starts
Hey,
zapping her.
any excuse to get Michelle Yeoh to do action
Oh
scenes.
yeah,
You have Michelle Yeoh, just let her do her thing.
and it was. I think what I really enjoyed about this too was not only was the action in it and the fight choreography actually really good, but after everyone had been defeated, after Saru pulled out his little dart things and put him
Yep.
down, uh, Giorgio was ready to go over and just like shoot him in the face and be like, all right, we're done with this guy. Let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
And Saru was there towing the Federation line, towing the Starfleet line of like, no, that's not who we are. And Giorgio's like, well, that's who I am, and that's who he was too. So her and him were almost parallels of what she could be if left to her own devices in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the great things about this episode was how focused Saru was on maintaining the principles that they live by. And it was almost like, even though we are so far in the future, we still can't tell anyone. So it's almost like a future prime directive.
Yeah,
They still can't interfere with how everything is going in the timeline.
which is interesting because they're in the timeline. So it's like they're,
Yeah.
they're like stuck in this weird place where everything they do is going to affect the timeline, but at the same time, they're trying not to affect it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of come out of that because I'm pretty sure at some point they're just going to be like, okay, well, it's the future, so what's going to happen is going to happen.
Well, we also saw kind of the effects of that in this episode. The Cordonite Cal that was helping Tilly and Saru out, he paid the price for it,
Yeah,
for trusting them, because he's like, hey, it's these Federation types. I know how they are. And he started to put their trust in them. And look where that got him. Now he's dead.
yeah, which sucks. but
which was to
but
Saru's point.
but at the same time, it also prompted the rest of them to be like, no,
Yes.
these are good people. So and they gave I can't remember the name of the other Coordinate, but he gave them as they were leaving. He gave them the personal transporter. And was like, "Hey, welcome to the future." So like I felt like that
Oh
was
yeah, I think that's Osir. Osir was his name.
yeah that sounds right. So like I felt like that was a great moment too because I think it was at that moment
Mm-hmm.
where Saru was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess we are in the future."
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
but then also, God, go when they let Zarek go, and the dude was just like, "Go ahead, you're free to leave." And he was like, "I'm not gonna survive out there." He's like, "Well, you're gonna push Tilly out, so have at
Yep.
it." But
Yep.
this is where I'm confused. He had a personal transporter, so he like after the door closed behind him, he just transported away. If he was able to do that, why was he really that concerned about being absorbed
Oh,
by the ice?
no. No, that transporter for the entrance, because when Tilly and Saru walked up to that cave where that guy disappeared, that's almost like an automatic transporter. It's an
Okay,
automatic site to site.
okay.
Yeah, so
I
once
missed
you enter
that.
that cave, you zip up. Yeah,
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense because when he disappeared, I was like, oh wait, he's gonna be fine because he could just transport to wherever he's gonna go. So okay,
right.
so that makes a lot more sense. Um, what other new stuff did we see here? There was the matter. Instead of having
Yes.
uh, uh, uh,
The replicator.
replicators, God, my brain is fried today. Uh, we had this programmable matter, which was really
Mm-hmm.
cool. It was in.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, I was just going to say, no, I really liked that effect. And, seeing the two pieces side by side, they're completely burnt out translator and the new one that Cal made it looked like it just come off the assembly line. And even Tilly, I love Tilly when she was like trying to be like, oh, yeah, programmed matter. I knew that. I
Yeah.
was quizzing you.
Yeah, it's so funny because like immediately in the first episode, immediately Book was like, "Oh, you're a time traveler," and then
Yep.
in this episode, they were like, "Okay, yeah, we get it. You guys are from the past."
Yeah, and it seems like they're always going to be a step behind
Yeah,
from the rest of the universe, but I think that's what makes it interesting because again we got another instance where it's like, wow, look, it's a vintage tricorder. Oh
right.
yeah, I love vintage. I mean, they're going to get called out so much, and um it's going to be interesting to see when they come across other friendly people, how much is the discovery and how much of their equipment is going to get upgraded. And as someone who loves Trek tech, yeah, I want to see them learn the new technology. I want to see them integrate it into
So
Discovery.
that brings up an interesting point here. Last season, when they
Yep.
landed on Terra Elysium, and there were the people there that the Red Angel had brought from the past. Pike was
Yep.
like, we can't give them any of our future technology. We can't really help them. They've been here for so long that they need to evolve on their own and go their own way. So now
Mm-hmm.
all of these guys on Discovery from the past are now in this future state. I don't see them following that same guideline and relegating themselves to 900-year-old technology. I'm pretty sure they're gonna update most of their stuff.
And I think they're going to have to out of
Yeah,
necessity. They're otherwise I think they're going to be so outclassed and outgunned in every situation.
yeah. definitely one of those case by case scenario type things where they're just gonna be like, but I
Oh yeah.
wonder, if that's even going to like, I doubt that's even going to come up for them. Like, I don't think once they're going to be like, well, we're from 900 years ago, so we really shouldn't have this technology, should we? I don't think anyone's gonna say that.
Yeah, especially that they knew this was a one-way trip.
Right.
So they're never going back to the past. So what's the harm in, upgrading the
Yeah.
Discovery? And we know the Discovery gets updated from the short trek Calypso,
Right. Right. Right.
where the Discovery was abandoned further in the
Yeah,
future.
that was, I think that was 70 years out from where they're at now. Um, or maybe,
Yeah, something like that.
I
Yeah.
want to say that was like 1,000
Or
years in the
maybe
future from
longer.
where they were, but at this point, who
Yeah.
knows? But no, this programmable matter thing, like, this also seemed to me like almost the next generation of that device that they got in Picard, from the planet with all of the synthetics,
Oh,
because
right.
they had gotten that, like, all in one fixer thing that they were just like, yeah, just point at a thing and
Yes.
it'll fix it for you. And this is kind of along those same lines. So I I don't.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we're seeing that evolution of that technology
Right. I
here.
don't know that that'll ever be explicitly stated, but I like that there's that kind of connection there between, at least between the two series, because now, and
Hmm.
I actually want to see more than that too. Like, I like, now that Discovery's in the future, um I'd kind of like to see them reference something that happened in Picard, or Picard reference something that happened on Discovery, just to make that universe just slightly more cohesive, or even in Lower Decks next season for them to talk about
Right.
something.
Well, hey, between Discovery and Lower Decks, I'm getting so many Easter eggs and stuff from Enterprise that I thought would never happen ever again. So I love it. Like, just seeing the updated coordinates here, the updated makeup, and it was, the same types of patterns and just all the references like for Enterprise. And that's why I'm liking this new direction. It's because the whole Star Trek universe is now open for Discovery to comment on, to update us, the viewers, on.
Right.
And I think we, as viewers and longtime fans, we really need to keep an eagle eye out for stuff like that.
Yeah. 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 What were there any um big Easter eggs that you noticed in this episode, outside of like what we've already discussed?
Outside of what we discussed, no. I did like, because their communications were down, they did specifically say translator, which was something that they used in the original series to fix when the communications were down. So it's still even acknowledging like past Star Trek, because Discovery was before Kirk. So they're still, because they didn't use translators in the 24th
Right.
century, they didn't use those in the next generation. So to even see references to past technology is really
Yeah,
nice
so
too.
something else that I just really enjoyed, just one of the moments, was us. I can't remember this guy's name. We've seen him a few times before. The dude, when Stamets and Jet are in the spore drive room, and they're
Oh
talking
my
about what's
god.
going on, and there's the dude in the cube who's
Yep.
cleaning up the remnants of Leland in there. Like, I
Yep.
was just losing it, just like watching him there with the shovel, just like cleaning it out.
And that felt like a Lower Decks
Yeah.
moment. Like, this is the guy who has the crappy job like Mariner and Boimler do. Like, he's the guy just shoveling biomatter into this bucket. And the moment where Jet was like, "Oh, I already forgot your name. Like, you're just hazmat boy."
So good, so good. So,
So good. Yeah.
jumping ahead a little bit to the end, uh,
Sure.
'cause I don't, I think we've covered like most of the other stuff in the episode. Like,
Yeah.
uh, after they get the personal transporter, they make it back to the ship, install everything, and they think that they're going to be crushed. They're trying to get out, and then it seems like one of Zare's ships is coming and attacking them, but it turns out to be
Right. Because
not.
because he mentioned that, oh, this big ship coming out of a space-time distortion, it's like you're gonna cause a lot of like people coming after you, like you're drawing a lot of attention to
Right.
yourself. And I think if Burnham's been looking for them this entire time, she's looking for that kind of stuff because Zara made that point, like, oh, gravitational waves, what does that mean to Tilly? And yeah, it's time travel. So Burnham's been looking for them for a year. So I think as soon as that happened and they were out of that like wormhole or whatever, Burnham picked it up on sensors and they started booking
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's who it turned out to be at the end there. Like, but that shot, I'm gonna find this in
The
my
like
pros here.
overhead shot with the tractor beam
Yeah, that
and
was just like a
Discovery.
really dope. Like that was almost like a classic sci-fi person getting abducted by aliens shot right there.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
just seeing the ground and the lights. Like I half expected just to see someone just like floating up out of it. But I mean, that was just like the effects in this episode. Like everything looked so good. And then, like, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little
Really
choked
good.
up there right after that. After Burnham came on the screen, and she was like, "I've been looking for you guys for so long." I was like, like it was a really it was a really touching moment because even though we knew that was going to happen, it wasn't necessarily clear how long it was going to take for them to be reunited.
Right. Right. And that's what we were discussing on the last episode. We didn't know if this would happen next episode, like 2 episodes from
Right.
now or whatever. But I'm also glad that they just kind of got it out of the way. So it's like now the crew's reunited and it looks like we're heading to Earth next week. And that's the thing we've both been
Yes,
waiting for.
Illinois.
Show us weird Illinois.
I'm I'm really excited to see what Earth actually looks like in this time frame too, because
Right.
does Starfleet actually still exist there? Like who's around? What are they doing? Why is everything the
Have
way it is?
humans abandoned the planet?
Right, because like you would have to imagine
We don't.
that things still exist on Earth to some extent, but like are they now all xenophobic and just like
Oh,
we're not going anywhere, we're just gonna stick to our planet and that's it? I don't know that I could really see that happening.
mhm. But then that begs the question, like if you've got this planet with, I don't know, 9 billion people or whoever, what have they been doing for 1,000 years or even 100 years after the burn? Like, uh, are most of them dead? Are they just don't care? Have they given up? So a lot of really pressing questions that we need to know. And we see Tilly hugging that huge tree on Earth. So I don't know. Do we come in peace?
Right.
Like
So,
what's
I want to
happening?
know, is that tree? Because I remember there being something about a tree on the Starfleet Academy grounds or at Starfleet headquarters, or like
Oh.
there was something about a tree somewhere. I don't remember what it was now. Um,
Well,
yeah,
Boothby, the
yeah, yeah,
groundskeeper,
yeah.
and yeah, and he maintained the grounds like even when Picard was a cadet. It'd be funny to find out if like he was still alive and he's not human at all, but some kind of
Oh
immortal
yeah. Well,
being or something. And he's like, "Yep, I'm still maintaining the
in
grounds."
Star Trek Online, I know that it's a Boothby hologram that they've got that's just there that kind of
Oh,
serves
okay.
that same purpose. Unfortunately, obviously the guy who played him is now dead, so it
Yeah.
would be kind of hard to get him back. But no, that'd be so interesting. I also like after seeing Q on lower decks, I now that their discoveries in the future, I kind of want to see Q pop up here, just like in a super random episode because where on Twitter, someone said something about being able to see Doug Jones sing again in Discovery, and I was like, that's the
Oh,
perfect way
okay.
to bring in Q, is just bringing Q, have him have to teach the crew some sort of a lesson that they can only learn through performing a musical. That's I'd be fine with that.
Hey, we're
Even
talking
just a
about
short track,
different themes for Discovery.
like
Oh, yeah,
like
that'd be
just like
pretty
a
funny.
random one-off like 15-minute episode that's just them stuck on a holodeck having to like, and they could even bring back like Gates McFadden to be Crusher, because she was always putting on those plays back in TNG. Like there's so much fun that I think they could have with doing something like that.
Oh, I wonder if they would actually install some kind of future holodeck on the
Well,
Discovery.
we know from season one that there was some sort of a holographic simulator thing there, because that's where Lorca and
Right.
Ash were having target practice.
Hmm.
And
But it'd be interesting to see if they had like a full on
yeah, yeah,
holodeck.
yeah, 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 yeah. I think because those are out of the longer seasons, like those episodes are really the only thing that I kind of miss, is the random filler
Hmm.
holodeck episodes. Because I always loved seeing Data as Sherlock Holmes, or Picard as Dixon Hill,
Yeah.
or in Voyager we had the Captain Proton, or we didn't really have a whole lot of that in Deep Space Nine though. Like we had the lounge.
Yeah.
There was the one episode where Bashir was like the James Bond type guy. Um,
Yes. And I always liked that they made a joke that Julian and Miles were always like going to the
yeah, yeah,
holodeck or the
because
holo suite.
they were like they were recreating like war stuff, right? Like they were like always in like fighter
Yeah.
planes or something.
Hmm.
Uh,
It was like, oh, we're this time we're doing the
yeah,
Alamo.
yeah, yeah.
And they would always come out of the holodeck like in costume.
Yeah, God, I was always sad that we never actually got to see that kind of a thing. But no, that was good.
Yeah.
Do we? What do we know about next week's episode? Do we have a log line for this one yet? I'm not.
Um, un- Unfortunately, I did not see the new Ready Room. So I haven't even seen the special preview. But the episode is called People of Earth.
Okay.
So reunited with Burnham, Discovery heads to Earth to find out what happened to the Federation in the last 1,000 years. And I can't wait for this one because I think we're going to get a huge lore dump in this.
Yeah, yeah, I would think so too, because we're at episode 3 now, which is more or less a third of the way through the season, um,
Yeah.
or a fourth of the way through the season. So yeah, it's probably going to be the episode that sets up what the actual storyline from here on out is going to be, and like what
Right.
their actual mission really is going to be. Um, since these first two episodes were more or less just kind of set up for getting us there. Uh,
Oh, what did you think of Non being back? Because now the actress has been promoted to
yeah,
series
she was in the
regular.
credits this week. So yeah, so that was good.
Yeah.
I like her. I liked her reason for sticking around too, where she was saying,
Hmm.
it's a life for a life. Like, Ariam gave her life for this crew. I couldn't see myself not doing the same thing to honor her. So like I think that
Yeah.
that kind of puts her in a solid place too, because like in season 1 we had Rekha Sharma, who was can't remember her name, the first security officer.
Oh, yeah. I'm blanking on
But
the name. But she
yeah,
was great.
she was in both universes. It was kind of sad how she died from the tardigrade, but she was kind of asking for it. Um,
Oh,
Landry,
Landry.
that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I liked I liked her character and her interactions with everyone, especially like in this episode. I really enjoyed seeing her with Giorgio, because we could see that they're going to have that sort of I think Quark and Odo relationship.
Yeah, and the line that really stuck out to me was when Nan was talking with Jet, like, "Hey, have you seen Georgiou? She was supposed to come down here and help you guys." And it's like, wait, you actually trusted something that Georgiou said? Like, what's
Yeah,
wrong with you?
yeah,
Perfect. That was perfect.
yeah. It's gonna be fun watching them.
She kind of like rolls her eyes and is like, "Oh, geez, of
Mm.
course."
Let me look. I've got some notes here. Let me make sure I haven't skipped over anything that I
Sure.
wanted to bring up. Um, but yeah, I think that was pretty much about it. Yeah, nothing there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, we had a mention of the Tellarite exchange, but I don't know that that's really anything big. Uh,
Well, at least they're
yeah,
around, I guess.
we did see them in season 1 when they had gone over to the Mirror Universe. There were
Yes.
Tellarites on the planet where they met up with Sarek. Um,
Well, we saw one in the last episode too. One of the
oh,
security
right,
guys
right.
chasing. Yeah, and we saw him in Picard.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So they're around, but it's that's just I think another clue. Okay, they've got their own exchange. That means there is no Federation. That's just another clue for the Discovery
right.
folks, because I don't think anyone specifically told them, "Hey, everyone, the Federation is over with." Like they just kind of got a sense of it, like, "Ooh, it's the Federation
Right.
types." So,
Let me see. There's. Oh, here's just random trivia. When Tilly is talking about Starfleet regulations, the regulation that she mentions, 256.15, is from a 90s novel and never actually was referenced in a TV show.
oh,
Um,
interesting. I didn't know
it
that.
came from a novel called Vulcan's Forge. Uh,
Oh,
and
okay. That's a fairly popular novel.
the
Yeah.
regulation read officers shall show professional behavior at all times. It was written by Joseph A. Sherman and Susan Schwartz and published in 97.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, here's something that we didn't really talk about. They were talking at the beginning. They had to get a treatment so that they could breathe properly.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really reference why they weren't able to breathe properly on the planet, though.
Yeah, they did. They just said that there was the atmosphere was different and that there was pockets of higher levels of oxygen. And it's not really like new for Star Trek. I know there's a drug in Star Trek called triox,
Mm-hmm.
which just increases the level of oxygen in your blood for planets.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Kirk used it in when he was fighting Spock in Amok Time.
Oh, right, right.
Like, yeah, McCoy injected him with that so he could breathe easier while fighting Spock.
Yeah, because that was going to be the most of his problems with that. Uh,
Right.
yeah. So I think that's pretty much it from this episode. I'm
Mhm.
really excited for next week's. But in the meantime, between now and then, where can people find you and what have you got coming up?
Oh, are we
Oh,
gonna rate
yes,
this one?
yes. My again, fried brain.
We've got
Hopefully, I'm out of this hotel next Friday. So hopefully by episode 4,
okay.
everything should be straight and normal. All right. So, let's see here. All right. So what is your rating for this episode?
So this is out of
Yeah,
5,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. I'm gonna do a solid 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. All right. So what out of the episode dinged you down that point?
Well, I mean, no, I don't think any episode. Like, I feel like I kind of want to save the 5 out of 5 for something that's gonna like
Yeah,
go, whoa, and totally blow my mind. So maybe I'm being a little conservative with the rating. But I did feel that one of the weaker scenes was kind of like Stamets just kind of like struggling in the transporter tube, or not, in the Jeffries tube, and like, oh yeah, I can fix it and plug it in there. Like, I get what they were trying to do. Like, all right, you can do it, buddy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It felt kind of flat for me.
Yeah, I am also going with a 4. And that scene is actually what like, even though I liked and I enjoyed everything surrounding that between Jet and Stamets,
Yes.
and how she was kind of pushing him and just like kind of like pushing his buttons and everything. I felt like once he got into the Jeffries tube, it just kind of took a little too much time. The episode itself was really fast paced, and they like sitting down and watching it, I didn't feel like it was like 45 or 50 minutes or whatever it was. It flew by really quickly, and I felt like that time could have been devoted to something that would have been a slightly more interesting than just seeing him in pain in the Jeffries tube.
Exactly.
So yeah, now that we have actually finished with everything, again, you can find your social media right beneath you, so people can find you there on Twitter. Do you use Instagram at all? Are you an Instagram guy?
Yeah, I'm on Instagrams. You can pretty much find me TrekkyB47 on Twitter and Instagram, and YouTube. Even though I barely use YouTube for that, but yeah, Instagram and Twitter. I'm definitely more on Twitter, but hey, if you want to see some Instagram pictures, go follow me there. And and then check out my Power Rangers podcast, Ranger Command Power Hour, on Twitter at Ranger Command PH, and then we're on Instagram and Facebook at Ranger Command Power Hour, all one word.
Nice. And same with me. I mean, obviously, you can see me here on the Riker Maneuver on Fridays, and then Riker Maneuver Classic on Saturdays with Joe, where we will be talking about Enterprise. I will be setting up that stream later this evening, so that'll be up and available. And then on the Retro Ranger Wrap-Up with Corey and Elle this week, we'll be back on Sunday, and then next week we should be back on Saturday again, and we'll be talking, I believe, about episodes 22 and 23 of Lost Galaxy. Excuse me.
Nice.
On Twitter, you can find me at Vogon Poetry Slam. You can also find me on Instagram at the same handle, but I rarely use it. So the last thing you're going to see there is when I bought this shirt like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for us this week. If there's anything Star Trekky that you guys want us to talk about, let us know in the comments, or hit us up on Twitter. Let us know, and we'll be sure to do that. But until next week,
awesome.
I guess because I can't do that. So there.
Oh, you can't do it either. I can't do it either.
I can get my pointer finger and my middle finger. Yeah.
I have to do it like at like an angle. I have the same problem.
I can't. It's the my ring finger on my left hand. It's even worse. But on my right hand, I can't get my ring finger to move out. It's.
Yeah, I have the same issue.
Like
look at that.
I don't know.
So whenever someone does that, I'm like, all right, back at you.
I'm like, okay.
All right.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week.
All right. Thanks, everyone.